I'm Ken O'Connor, and welcome back to Ask This Old House.
I noticed this huge crack in the wall. I got to do something about it, and I don't know what it is.
We're mixing mortar and helping a homeowner fix some cracks in his basement.
We got here, there was one lavatory sink, but we added a second. I'm going to show you how we did it step by step.
And I'm going to share a viewer tip that makes yard cleanup a little bit easier. There's a lot coming up today, so stick around.
So we have this expansive counter and this little sink on one end and a whole waste of space on the other end. We're all feeling the crunch when we use this bathroom. So with this sink here on the left and a whole 5 feet of countertop on the right, it just seems like a simple thing to drop a second sink in. I have no idea how to do it.
Well, Erica, this is a perfect candidate for a second sink right there.
You know, Richard, we've had this house for about 3 years, and we didn't actually use this bathroom until a year ago when my son was born. Every night now, I look at this space and think it needs a sink.
You've been waiting for us to come.
We've been waiting for you.
All right, when I first came to look at this job, I saw that there were these drawers right here. And now, when I pulled it out, look at this. This is a full dimension drawer. That means it goes all the way to the back. Well, in the drawers down below, we're going to run our pipes. We need a little bit more space. So what we did is we had these drawers cut back. And see what it does? It allows us a void space right here to run our waste and our water lines. So let's get these out of the way and get started. All right. Well, we want to match the sink that you have, so we were lucky that it's a pretty standard dimension. This is 20 inches wide by 18 inches deep. Now, when we mount the new sink, we want it to be in a similar position on the countertop. So I want to measure right here. That's about 2 inches from this backsplash, and it's about 4.5 from the end of the countertop. So now down here, we'll put this down upside down and make a few reference marks. Okay, so I'm making reference marks that represent the outside dimension of the sink, but that's not the size of the hole we're going to cut. The manufacturer provides a template, and that's the important dimension because we need to place this inside, and then once we get this dimension right, we cut this for the opening for the sink. All right, now I want to drill a pilot hole so I can get my jigsaw blade in, and then we'll cut the opening. Good. All right, here we go. Think it'll fit?
I think so.
I hope so. Perfect. Good. Now we need to do our plumbing work. So underneath you can see our hot and cold supply to this lav sink, and this is our drain with our trap. Now, every single fixture has to have a trap. Now, the original installer never assumed there would be a second sink here. If he had, just pass me the PVC piece right there, he would have done this. He would have run inside the wall a piping arrangement much like this. It would have been a vertical pipe right here, and that's the drain from this point down. Here's the trap for each of the two sinks. Water would have come through the traps, come to this fitting right here and gone down, and right here is a vent. Now, because we don't have this, sometimes it's simpler for us to take the entire vanity out and to modify this piping inside the wall, right? But because we could modify the drawers, in your case, let me hand you that, we can actually do it within the vanity cabinet. So we're going to do something like this. Here's that original drain for the left-hand sink. Here's the new trap for this sink right here. The water goes right down. We're going to cut this Y fitting in. We're going to come back this way behind those drawers, and there's our new trap. And because this is not really the preferred method, this is a place where we could get a clog, I'll leave a clean out in the back for the future service. All right? So we need to cut into this existing PVC so that we can do our new plumbing for the double sinks. Coming through the wall, we have a copper pipe that actually has a threaded adapter at the end, and that's 1.5 inches. Now this is actually an 1.5 inch female adapter. We're going to thread right onto it. And now we can dry fit the rest of our work. Okay, so now you can see that our drain connection is going to go over to our original lav sink. Here's the branch that's going to come right back and come right through our cabinet. And now I just need to establish what height I need to drill my hole at. That's 13 inches to the center of the hole. Good. All right, Erica, just grab that piece of PVC and stick it right into the cleanout, right through that hole. all of our holes have been drilled. We've got the drain lines and the 2 lines for hot and cold. And now we've got all this dry fit ready, and now we can actually glue it together. We clean it, we glue it, and hold it for a 5 count. And now we make our Y branch connection to the new sink. So now I'm going to adapt onto the tail piece. There's a trap adapter here and a short piece I got to clean and glue as well. Here's our hot and cold supply to that original sink. But I want to have shutoffs under each of the sinks for future service. So I'm going to actually remove these shutoffs and install a copper T on both the hot and the cold. And once I've done that, I can then have separate service shutoffs under each sink. To protect the PVC, we're using a piece of sheet metal when we're soldering. So now I'm going to solder on the T's with a shutoff valve right there. And now you can see our cold water line can go up and tie into this cold branch that goes over to the other sink. And I'll do the same thing on the hot water side right there. To secure the pipe, we're going to install some bell hangers right in the back here. With that, we're going to use a screw gun. Oh yeah. Okay, good. So we have our new copper lines over here. There's a shutoff for the hot and the cold already installed. I've got the water back on. We've roughed the drain in right over to this point. Now it's ready to trim out our sink with our new faucet. So we've already got our drain connected right here. And now we're going to start with the spout. I always want a little bit of plumber's putty at the place where we're going to try to seal water from getting down between the faucet or the spout and the sink itself. It's a lot easier doing this kind of work when you're standing up versus underneath the sink. Okay, so now I want to start putting the stem units on. Here's the hot stem putty. So we don't mangle the threads or the chrome. They've got a little shoulder on each side right here that allows you to put an adjustable open-end wrench on it and tighten it up. Good. This is an O-ring connection, but I like to put a little bit of pipe joint compound on the threads. So the way that this faucet works is hot and cold water comes up into the stem units, and once you open up these faucets, the water comes down these tubes and mixes right here into the spout and comes out through the aerator. And the last part of this faucet to install is the pop-up assembly. It has a linkage right here that you lift, and that makes the stopper go down. That holds water in the sink. When you push it down, you can see what happens down here. Now, as you push it down, the fulcrum lifts that stopper and water goes down the drain. So all we really have to do back here is to adjust this point so the stopper holds tight. All right, Erica, why don't you take this silicone caulking and just go right around the outside edge of this, okay? Just be generous enough feed. Just follow the line that you see right there, yeah? Pull, yeah? It looks pretty square, doesn't it? This way? Okay, that's got to come over a little bit more then. There we go. And these are our very last connections, the hot and the cold water connections, using these stainless steel braided supplies. Gonna make a good connection and snug them up. So a little trick to making up these connections. There's two different sizes. This is the 3/8 size, and this is smaller than the 5/8, which attaches to the faucet. I would always make this one up first, because otherwise, if you didn't, this could twist and kink. So we tighten this up, hold back with 2 wrenches up there so we don't break off that copper supply tube. And once that's tight, now we can make this connection. Careful. We didn't break the mirror. That's good.
That's good.
And the whole room is back in order.
This sink looks like it's always been here.
Like it should. Go ahead, give
Let's
it a try.
test it. Perfect.
You are a 2-sink family. Enjoy.
Thank you, Richard.
Kevin, if you collect your leaves in the fall, it's important to compost them. If you have a large property like this, you can find a spot to just pile them and let them compost naturally. But most of us can't do that. What we have to do is collect our leaves.
And bag them. But if we put them in a plastic bag, that means they end up in a landfill. So you'd rather use a paper bag.
Always put them in a paper bag. That way you're assured they're going to go into a compost pile. The hardest thing about getting them in the paper bag is the paper bag itself. It collapses. It tips over very easily. It's hard to get the leaves in. What I like to do is bend down the collar, and that makes the bag more rigid, and it'll stand there by itself, and you can simply scoop up some leaves and fill a bag.
That is a good tip. I've got one too, Roger. I've got a 5-year-old, and I just make him hold the bag.
Well, I don't have one of those at home anymore, Kevin, but I do have a tip from a viewer named Mike in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. He said, take an old wastebasket, cut the bottom off it. Then you simply slide it into a bag. Now it's rigid. It's going to stay there by itself. I'm going to collect some leaves. I can just drop them right in. And once I get it pretty full, I just slide the basket up to the top. Now I can fill it all the way to the top.
That is a nice tip. Thank you, Mike. And for your efforts, we are going to send you an Ask This Old House t-shirt.
I've been in the house for about 3 years, and I was down here cleaning the basement out one day, and there was a piece of wood over here. I moved out the piece of wood, and I noticed this huge crack in the wall. I don't know if it's just going to keep getting worse. Is my house going to collapse? Is water going to keep coming in? I got to do something about it, and I don't know what it is.
All right, what you have is a concrete block foundation. And the reason you have a crack in it, because this is a weak link of the wall right here at the corner of the window, and the foundation has settled very slightly. The mortar has separated and left, so we have a big void there, and actually I can see light through the hole. So I bet you get some cold air blowing in there in the winter, too.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we're going to fix this with mortar. But before we do that, we want to fill the void inside the block with some triple expanding foam.
Okay.
All right, John, what we're going to use is a foam that's meant for large gaps, anything bigger than 3/4 of an inch. What I want you to do is take this can, hold it upside down.
Right.
All right, take the nozzle and stick it inside the void because we want to fill the center of the block. We don't want the foam to come out and fill the joint.
Okay.
If it does, we're going to have to chisel it out to make room for the mortar. That's right. All right, it's been about 5 or 10 minutes, and you can see the foam really expanding out, so we put too much in there.
All right.
But that's all right. We'll let it dry, and then we'll chisel it out. But in the meantime, I want to open up this crack right here, all the way down to the floor. I want to make it bigger.
Okay, now you're going to put foam in there?
No, I'm not going to put foam in there, but I have to make the crack wider so the mortar won't fall out. If I just put it in this crack, it'll probably fall out. So I'm going to use my cold chisel. I'm going to use about a 5/8 cold chisel and just knock out some of it, making the gap wider. Now, a cold chisel is designed to break out masonry, so it works fine. You don't have to go too deep. That's probably deep enough. You just want to make sure you clean it all out. That foam is still expanding on us. If it keeps coming in, you're going to have your whole basement insulated. All right, now on the outside, what I want to do, John, is I want to open up this crack too. All right, so you can do that. Take the cold chisel and open it up. Now, what I want you to do is just make a nice straight gap. So the edges are straight as opposed to V. So in other words, go in straight with your chisel, not on an angle like that, right? Because the mortar will hold better if the edges are straighter. To mix up the mortar, we're going to use a paddle bit on a drill. We're going to put a couple of inches of water in the bucket. All right, that's pretty good, John. All right, now you hold the drill, and I'm going to add the mortar mix to the water. Okay, now when you pull the trigger on the drill, don't pull it all the way because the bit will spin too fast and it'll splash all over us. So nice and easy. Okay, now that's good. Now all of that in the bucket is mixed really well. So now I can start adding more. You keep mixing slowly. All right, what I want to add now is some acrylic bonding agent to the mix so it will make the mortar stick to the wall even better. Okay, let's mix that up really well.
All right.
Now it's a little soupy, so I want to add a little more dry mortar to the mix. So you can keep mixing. All right, John, let's take a look. All right, that looks pretty good. We'll let that set for a few minutes, and then we'll start putting it on the wall.
All right.
All right, this foam is really expanding out. It's dry on the surface, but it's soft inside. So what I want to do is take my trowel and shave it off. Now the foam is still a little soft, so I can push it back into the hole to make room for our mortar. All right, John, it's always a good idea to wet the surface before you put the mortar on it, because the wall is so dry, it'll suck all the water out of the mortar, causing the mortar to crack. That's right. You can put a little more on there, John. All right, so now I'm going to just take the mortar out of the bucket and push it into the wall. All right, John, let's see how we're doing in here. All right, the foam's good and hard, so we actually have a base now for a mortar to go against. I'm just going to scrape off the excess on the wall. All right, John. Now this time, I'm going to wet the wall down, and you're going to fill the crack.
All right.
All right, John, bring in your bucket. Now what I want you to do is just push it right on the wall, just like I did outside, using the back side of the trowel. Looks like you've done this before.
Oh.
No?
Nope.
Oh, you're a natural. Yeah, force it right in there, nice. Yeah, that's good. I want to make sure we have plenty on there. We want to come a little bit wider, so that's good.
Wider.
Yeah, wider, because we're going to sponge that down, so. There you go. Very good. Okay, and then you can also drag this across and fill that little void right there, too. Okay. All right, take some of this off the shelf here, John. I'll flip your trowel. That's right. Anyway, you can flip it right over and drop it right in there. Look at that. They're very good. All right, this is set up enough so I can now smooth it out using my small rectangular trowel. I'll just make it kind of flat. So now what I want to do is I want to add some texture to it to match the wall. So I'm going to take a sponge with some water. I want to wring out my sponge pretty much. I want to wring it out because I don't want it to be too wet. And I'm simply going to skim right over the wall, really lightly, and you can actually see the grit rising, giving a little bit of texture to the wall. Now it matches the wall all around it. All right, that's it. Now we're ready to go back inside. All right, I had a little bit of extra mortar, so I smoothed out the sill right here. And I'm going to flatten out our filled section, and then you can come in with a sponge. Keep it damp, but not too damp. There you go. That's probably good. Try it. Let's see how it is. See how it blends right in there?
Yeah.
And work the edges, so feather those edges right out. There you go. Look at that. Perfect. All right, that's it. So, in a couple of weeks, if you want, you can paint it.
All right, thank you, Tom.
My pleasure.
Now you use mortar and not hydraulic cement on that.
Right. I wouldn't parge a wall with hydraulic cement. Use hydraulic cement when you have a water problem, like hydrostatic pressure, when it pushes up under the floor and the water comes between the crack of the wall and the floor. Or you get a lot of water against the foundation, it gets into a crack in the foundation.
Gotcha.
Hydraulic cement expands, completely filling that joint, making it watertight.
Right, so I didn't have that problem. So what I did is I mixed up the mortar and the bonding agent, I filled the cracks, and I parged the wall.
Beautiful.
All right, good information, guys. Thank you. And if you've got a question about your house, we'd love to hear from you. So keep your letters and your emails coming. Until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor.
I'm Roger Cook.
I'm Richard Thuy.
And I'm Tom Silver.
For Ask This Old House.
Sort of a chip off the old block.
Oh, yeah, good one, blockhead.
Next time on Ask This Old House.
Did you know there's a right way and wrong way to mow your lawn? I'll show you the right way.
And I'm going to help these homeowners build a dream deck.
As you can see here, we're planning on a 2-level deck.
Right.
So we've decided to make an upper level and then have a step down that's on a diagonal that leads down to a more lounging kind of area.
Very nice layout.
That's next time on Ask the Sold House. If you have a question about your house or a tip you'd like to share, please let us know. Visit our website, pbs.org, for expert advice, step-by-step videos, and much more. This Old House magazine, the companion to the television series, provides advice from our experts that you've come to know. You can use your credit card to order 10 monthly issues for $10 by calling 1-800-221-5900.